Hello, hello, beautiful people. How are you guys doing today? It's Ashley Nicole with The Practical Life, and I am back with another live. Today, we're going to be talking about something very, very serious. And to be honest, y'all, this is the reason why I started this channel because not specifically because of domestic violence per se, but because of all of these things that are coming up in the world and that has to do with mental health. And I just, feel like we need to, talk about it and discuss it and make sure that we all know where our resources are and things of that nature. But before I get into the topic, I just want to give a little background about myself. Again, I'm Ashley Nicole, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I've been a licensed mental health counselor for over 10 years. So everything that I talk about on this channel has to do with my personal, professional, my educational knowledge and expertise in the mental health space. And this channel is not, I really kind of want it to be a little bit laid back because talking about mental health can be so serious and sometimes it can be taboo and things like that. And so I just wanted to create a space and where people can come and like ask questions and I can share information again based on my knowledge and expertise. But anything that I talk about on this channel is based on my opinion and my knowledge, and any images or information that I share is fair use. Just want to make sure that information is out there. So let's get into it, y'all. So as we know, there is an NBA player by the name of Miles Bridges, and he plays for the Charlotte Hornets. Now, I done told y'all before, I don't be researching these people. I never heard of this man, not until, I saw, these videos and information and news about what happened and stuff like that. Don't follow him or his wife or anything like that. And I don't go researching, every little bit of information, right? I'm just interested in the mental health part or either like how the situation could affect someone's mental health. So that's what I'm interested in, and that's what I, would like to talk about. So, firstly, I just want to say on a serious note, if you are someone who is watching this live or you are watching the replay and you feel unsafe, or if you need additional resources, I'm going to leave information in the description box, a number that you can call to where you can get to safety. So, firstly, I'm going to get into like the warning signs and things like that of, domestic violence or abuse and things like that. And then I will get into a little bit of information of what I found out about Miles Bridges. He's this big NBA player, or I think everybody, the fanfare is around him because he had like a big contract. Y'all, I look so red. Or orange, I guess, on this video, on this live. But yes, I think that he is, kind of, people are kind of talking about it because he's, had like a big contract. And so when I looked it up, it said that he was worth 8 million, I think. So I'm not really sure, but he has gotten into some trouble, child. He in some trouble. I mean, this man is only 24 years old, and he's only 24 years old, and he's gotten himself in this big thing. And I believe, it's with his wife. He's gotten into a big domestic, dispute, and he's been arrested, but he has a trial. I want to say this, it might be today. I feel like it said July 20th. So it might be today that he has the trial or hearing for what has happened. But a little bit before we get into Miles, right? So I gave information about if you need to get help, if you feel like you need, protection and things like that, if you're in a situation. Information will be in the description box. And secondly, I want to say that anyone that's in a domestic violence situation needs to ensure that you create a safety plan. Like that is numero uno. I can tell you all, when I was a long time ago working in the field, it was probably, I was new. I was new and I was doing in-home counseling, guys. And it's not as bad as it sounds. um, it's not as bad as it sounds. But I will say that, being a therapist, you do get a little bit nervous if you are, going to someone's home and things like that. And so I was placed on like a grant, right? It was like a grant that the particular agency that I was working for had for, in particular, for domestic violence and substance use. Now, it wasn't for like, it was for victims, but it was specifically because it was almost like a pilot, guys. It was specifically for victims who were still with the abusers. And so I was chosen to work this particular pilot or be on this particular project. And guys, even if you are someone who is in the situation, I'm telling you, you need to have a safety plan. But me as a therapist that doesn't even know the family or the victim, or, just going in as a therapist, I had to create my own safety plan because and I'll give you guys an example. I'll tell you a story. So there was a particular client, so nice. The lady was so nice. And I can't remember, it's so long ago. I can't remember if she had kids or not. I want to say she may have had one or two, but I was assigned for this particular grant to kind of go help her, figure out a safety plan, figure out if, her decision was to stay in the relationship. If so, kind of help her gain coping skills and kind of work with them really as a couple, right? I ain't gonna lie, y'all, scared out of my mind. I mean, the first family that I worked with this particular grant, right? Because I had been working with families and individuals and was fine. But knowing already kind of having information about domestic violence and having these preconceived notions about it, right? And what could happen in this situation kind of really sparked a little bit of anxiety. I ain't even gonna lie. And so in meeting this lady, hold on, guys, give me 1 second. In meeting this lady, right? She was, like I said, super nice. And um, I get to the house. I get to the house and I didn't know that, I don't know if they were married, but I didn't know that the husband would be there. Y'all gonna have to bear with me with the lighting because I have no idea what's going on. I had no idea the husband would be there, and he was there. And this man, y'all, like, you wouldn't know unless somebody told you, or unless, like I had the paperwork or whatever, I knew what was going on, you would have never known that this man was abusing this lady. Now, and it was nothing that was like alleged, like this was fact. This is why they had to get services or whatever. And this man was the nicest man you could ever meet, y'all. And if you are the type of person that's, and like, no tea, no shade, but if you are the type of person that's like naive or a little bit gullible or overly trusting, right? You could get yourself in a situation with the type of person that this man was. I mean, the things that he had done to this lady, horrible, y'all. And if you were that, had those types of characteristics, then you could find yourself in a situation. Now, I'm going to get into too, like a little bit of the warning signs, because I think in one of my first videos, I was telling y'all, like, I see on social media all the time, not even just domestic violence, but like people getting scammed and duped. It's almost like y'all didn't know y'all was getting scammed. Y'all didn't know y'all was getting duped. Like you weren't able to tell that this was this kind of person. And don't get me wrong, it can happen to anybody. It can happen to me. But I'm just like, it's certain things that I might see from a person. And it's not just because I'm a therapist, you know what I mean? I'd be like, how y'all get scammed? Because what this person said don't make no sense. That don't make no sense what they said. So how is y'all getting scammed? So if you did not, if you are, have these kind of characteristics, like I said, you can find yourself in a situation where you need to get safety. So first thing, make sure you get help, right? Um, Second thing, creating a safety plan. Now, of course, you need to make sure you have a safety plan, a physical safety plan, right? How are you going to get out or leave this person, when, where, how, what, right? But more specifically, and what will affect you afterwards, after experiencing something like this, is how you are going to create safety for yourself emotionally. Because especially if it don't take long, it could have been you was with this person for 2 months, you were with them for 2 years, right? You're going to have some after effects of what you experienced emotionally, and I'm going to get into that. So safety plan emotionally means, right, having support, having people around you that support you. Shoot, having people around you that believe you, right? Because look at the situation with Miles. Now I believe he's new to the NBA, fairly new. So somebody, I mean, he's married to this lady, right? Some people would take the attitude of, oh, she married to NBA player, he got money or whatever, like she needs to be quiet. People really actually think that. Like, she shouldn't be complaining about anything. She shouldn't be saying anything about nothing because she reaping benefits of the money that he's getting or whatever, right? Some people simply may not believe her about what happened or what was going on before she provided the information online, or her, scars and things like that, her bruises online, because she showed pictures of what she looked like, totally unacceptable. What happened to her. Making sure you have a peaceful space. So if you're in this situation, right, maybe there's a room in your home that where you can kind of go find solace, right? Or maybe it's sitting outside, or you got a little spot in your backyard that you sit down and you just kind of sit and think and kind of figure out, how to get out of the situation, what you're going to do, your plans, right? And then just engaging in some self-care, because what I noticed in working with clients who are in these situations, they really like let themselves go, because they've gotten to a point where the abuser makes them feel like this small, like they feel like nothing. Nobody is ever going to want them, so why am I putting myself together every day, things like that. So engaging in some self-care will also help create that safety plan as well. And when you take care of yourself, you have more confidence. Your confidence level goes up. So then you feel like, okay, I can do this. I can get out of this situation and, get into a better situation. So that goes into creating an emotional safety plan. And again, you need to have a physical plan as well. And the information that I'll leave in the description box, the number, you can call that number and get assistance with that particular plan, whether it's for you or somebody that you know. So let's start talking about how to identify these warning signs, right? Now, I'm going to try to share something. It'll be my first time sharing something, but I think I can, but I'll share it a little bit later. But some of the warning signs, and this does not include every warning sign. Like I could say something here that's a warning sign, but it could be something else that you might see, or something you're like, okay, that's just not right. People in a relationship wouldn't do those type of things, right? So first thing, extreme jealousy, right? For some reason, the person is jealous of you. Maybe they always have something snarky to say, and you can kind of get the vibe that they're competing with you, if that makes any sense. But it's really like being jealous of maybe certain ways that you are able to handle things, or it could be any little thing that they're jealous of, right? But something extreme. Um, Controlling behavior, right? Maybe they're controlling what you eat, controlling when you leave the house, controlling the finances, right? You're not able to see what's in your accounts that you have together. You have to get permission to take out certain monies or to buy certain things, right? And when I talk about these things, guys, these are like extreme examples, um and it gets to a point where they're a little bit intimidating. Like you have to walk on eggshells with them, and it shouldn't be like that in a relationship. So getting into what happened with Miles. So apparently, from the information that I read, there was an argument, and the argument led to something physical, allegedly, right? And now I didn't see where maybe there was like substance use involved, that maybe drinking or smoking or something like that was involved, that may have contributed to whatever happened, right? But the quote that I saw from his wife, I thought was very interesting. And she said, I hate it has come to this, but I can't be silent anymore. End quote. Right. So that tells you that something has been happening before this point. Maybe there were subtle things. Maybe it was something huge like this time, but she never, shared, right? Because what happens in domestic violence situations is that the victim becomes isolated from the abuser, isolates them because they don't want other people to know what's been happening, right? But then they start to isolate themselves because it's like, it's like, okay, any little thing that they do, it's kind of like they get in trouble when they come back. So it's like, okay, I don't want to go out with my friends. Or if I go out, what if I stay out too long and then I come back and I'm late, and I didn't come back on time, and now it's like a huge issue, right? So they kind of isolate themselves, and they start to feel ashamed as well, right? And she also said that she has been abused in every way possible. Can you guys imagine? Like I talked about It could be financially, it could be emotionally, talking down to the person. There could be insults, right? Again, extreme jealousy. And then some abusers, they use the kids, right, to get that power and control. So that takes me into the visual that I wanted to bring up for you all. So let me see if I can share. Oh, I'm gonna be so excited. Y'all, if I could share this visual. Okay, so let me see. Is this the one I wanted to share? Yes, okay. So yes, look at us. Look at me. Okay. So let's see. So the power and control wheel. So as you can see, and I hope you all can see it because it's a little the wording is a little bit small, but I hope you all can see that. So you see here, this is the power and control wheel. So this will kind of give you a little bit of information about, warning signs, right? Because when it comes to domestic violence for the abuser, it's all about power and control. So if you look here, I just talked about the issue with the abuser using the kids to have that power and control, right? They use the kids to be able to kind of manipulate the situation, right? So, using the children, you see this here? I hope you all can see that. But you can also look this up online. You can find this anywhere. Online, but using the children, right? They make you feel guilty about the children. They also use the children to send messages to you. So they might be saying maybe insulting you, but then they say it to the children as well. For example, they'll say, "Oh, look, look at mommy. Why is she not doing those dishes right?" You know, um, oh, look at mommy. Why is she so sad? She has a great life, those types of things. And so it kind of puts in the child's mind, like, my mom is not a good person, or she doesn't have it all together. Like putting the kids against the mom, right? Also, using visitation to harass the person, or threatening to take the children away. So horrible things, right? Back up to the top, we talked about using coercion and threats, using intimidation. That could mean that they are, making you, of course, feel afraid by using actions or the way that they're looking. Again, you have to walk on eggshells around the person. Emotional abuse, putting you down, making you feel bad about yourself, calling you names. We talked a little bit about isolation. Also making light of the abuse, right? Minimizing what you know to be something that should not be happening. And so if the person does this over and over and over and over, you start to think that it's true. Well, maybe it's not that bad. Or maybe I'm the one that's really the issue. If I just do this, then they wouldn't be doing this, right? Or after a while, the victim starts to feel so doubtful about themselves, right? The self-doubt creeps in, the lack of self-confidence creeps in, and then you have low self-esteem. So it's kind of like when people say, well, why wouldn't somebody just leave the first time? Okay, but if all this stuff, you gotta realize all this stuff has been building up and building up and building up. And now the person has gotten to the point where they so has been belittled so much that it's like you don't have the confidence to leave. You don't have the self-esteem to be able to say this is not right. I'm going to stand up for myself and I'm going to get out this situation. It takes a lot for them to be able to do that. And in the clients that I was seeing, this lady was not determined to leave. She wasn't. It was her situation was, if I do this or if I didn't do that, this would not have happened to me. So in her eyes, it was like, this therapist is coming to help me figure out what I'm doing wrong so I can fix it, and then everything will be fine. Right? So try to look at it from that lens as well. Um, so So all of this here, this is about power and control, the domestic violence, right? And so these are some of the examples where you can kind of see these are the warning signs. But the warning signs are something that could be, these things are extreme, guys. So keep that in mind as well. And a lot of times people won't tell you what's happening. They're not going to tell you. And from the outside looking in, you will never know. Now, I don't know if this was the case with Miles, and his wife, but she said she hates that it has come to this, but she can't be silent anymore. And it's a courageous thing to do, not only for her to probably try to get help, but for her to tell the world, like, this is what's happening. And this that could be looked at in two different ways too, because some people may think that, and again, these are all my opinion and based on my experience and knowledge and working with clients, in domestic violence situations. Some people will look at it like she's trying to manipulate the situation. Because remember when I told y'all he was up for some kind of he's up for some kind of renewal for his contract or something like that. And who knows what the argument was about. You see what I'm saying? So some people could look at it like that too, like, oh, now that he's up for this and maybe something didn't go her way, now it's okay, I'm gonna show everybody. It's almost like she's gonna be kind of being petty a little bit. I'm gonna show everybody what you did and so you can get punished. Or it could be, I'm gonna show everybody what you did because you need to be punished, because this is like the last straw. You can't keep treating me like this, and this is the only way that people are going to see that this is real, if she has been telling people. And then if you notice his contract, whomever is supposed to renew the contract, because y'all, I'm not a big, I'm not a sports person or whatever. But whomever is supposed to renew this contract, they, even though, because he was arrested on like felony charges of domestic violence and assault, right? This is very serious. They're like, oh, we don't have, once we get all the information, then we'll make our decision. Don't you have all the information? Like, this lady has medical records. She went to the hospital. Her children recounted, like, said what they witnessed, and so you got to think about it. What is it? Because he's a great sportsman or a great athlete, like sometimes I don't understand the logic, but hey, this is what it is. So then y'all know me, I told y'all I like to get some of that background information. I gotta know, how did this man grow up? Now he's only 24 years old. Now he is in the NBA, but he's 24, he's married, he got kids, he got a real life going, you know what I'm saying? But I want to know how this man grew up. Sometimes with domestic violence, I mean, it is about power and control, but some of these people grew up seeing this and thinking that this is how you solve problems. This is how you handle things, your if you're, for example, making all the money, your partner is supposed to stay in her place, things like that. So almost like, where did he learn this from, right? And so now it said that his dad played basketball too. His dad played basketball. His dad was very good at basketball, taught him how to play, started showing him the game at like 2 years old when Miles was two. Okay. And it sounds like the mom and dad were together. And when he was either in high school or college, at some point they broke up. They I don't know if they were married or whatever, they got divorced, or if they were just together and they broke up. But the mom wanted him to go straight to the NBA. Like she was pushing, I believe that's what it is. She was pushing for him to go straight to the NBA because he's from Michigan, he's from Flint, Michigan, and she didn't want him to be a statistic. Um, in one interview, his mom indicated that he had attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, better known as ADHD, that he had that and that he was getting in trouble or hanging with the wrong crowd. So that's one of the reasons why she really got him involved in sports and basketball, so that she can kind of steer him away from that. Now, but he then said, now, even though this was like conflicting to me, in my opinion, even though his dad, like, he gives his dad credit for teaching him the basketball and stuff like that, he said that his coach was more like a dad to him. So that left me with questions like, okay, well, what happened with the relationship with him and his dad? That taught you the game, and his dad was a great basketball player, and things of that nature. So what happened with that? Is it some trauma there, or some things that haven't been dealt with or coped with when it comes to him and his dad's relationship? I don't know. And then it sounds like his mom has always been in his life, because then it said that he moved. They sent him from Flint, Michigan, to go to school in Philadelphia for basketball, to go to some kind of prep school. And they did not want him to go, but he's like, no, I have to get out of here, to be able to make it or whatever. And he indicated that his sister was more like a mom. So it's something that we don't know about his upbringing, I feel like. Even though the mom and dad was together, but then the sister was more like a mom. Where was the mom's, the relationship with him and the mom, or her? What type of mom was she, right? Or what type of relationship did his mom have with the dad? How did that go? You know what I'm saying? So he said his sister was really more like a mom to him. And his sister, in one interview, was saying, he was going to Philadelphia, and I'm like, no, don't go. Like, you don't know how to take care of yourself. Like, you don't even like clean up here at home. How you going? Because he didn't go to a school. He went to live with a family. He went to live with a family, and I guess he went to a school there, but he lived with them. And his sister is like, you don't even clean up here at home. Like, how you get ready to go live at somebody else's house you barely even know, and you don't do nothing here? But that's neither here nor there, because some kids, they act a fool at home, but when they get around somebody else, baby, they cleaning up like they know how to do everything when they get around somebody else. So yes, so that was interesting to kind of see that background about him, as well. And so how does domestic violence affect the mental health? Well, as you can imagine, people will have trauma, right? Depending on the situation, it could be post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, right? That self-doubt, lack of self-confidence, lack of self-esteem, isolating yourself, not taking care of yourself. Those are all symptoms of depression. Anxiety, what's going to happen to me if I go to the grocery store and I come back and I'm considered coming back late, or I stayed out too long? What is going to happen? So being anxious about, the situation or what could happen to you ultimately. Um, it can also affect work, right? Your productivity when you're trying to work, right? Because that the victim is thinking about so many different things and thinking about being, abused. What is the person going to do this time? You know what I mean? So it can affect productivity. It can also affect how you are caring for your children, right? Because most of the time, to be honest, the kids, they see this stuff. They see this stuff. I had another client that, and same thing, and I'm speaking based on my knowledge. The most of the clients that I worked with, the abusers were male, but this could go for male or female. Like, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Male or female could be victims. But this particular situation, this guy, he had two little girls, and they were young. They may have been like 5 and 7 or something, or it might have been like 4 and 6. And the mom, he was from here, but the mom was from another country. And he may have been a little bit older, but not that much older than her. So she had kind of come to America, but she really didn't know much about, being here. So she was kind of depending on him to like show her the ropes, like, how do I get this? Where do I go for this? And things like that. And so in their situation, like, he kind of took advantage of that a little bit. And there was no physical abuse, but there was emotional abuse. He talked to the lady any kind of way. There was a lot of insults. He put her down, and it was so, it's interesting because it's so subtle, but it's so like loud at the same time. Like, I could see in with those particular clients that she was in the situation and she didn't realize what he really was doing. But an outside person, I was like, wow, some of the things that he would say to her would be it would be something small, like for the example I gave before about the dishes. Oh, you know, why is she washing the dishes that way? She knows better than that. Like, saying it in front of the children in kind of like a joking manner, but really not joking, really. And so the kids got to a point where they kind of trusted him more than they trusted their own mom, because the mom, she got to a point where she understood that this is not right. Oh no, this is Blair. That this was not right, and she left, and she left those kids with this man. So now you all can kind of see how people can look at these situations from each side, because it's like, okay, you saying this man do this, but then why you leave your girls there with him, right? But until you are in that particular situation, you can't say what you would or would not do. On the outside, you can say it all day. Oh no, I would have never left my babies there. You don't know what you would do when you're in the situation. And so what she did was she left, And to be able to, she found a job because her, in her mind, it was, I'm gonna leave my kids there, because in some way she knew like he wouldn't hurt the kids, but he was pitting the kids against her, but she knew he would not hurt them, he would take care of them in her mind, right? And I'm going to leave, try to get myself together, give me a job. I'm new to this country, but I'm give me a job and give me a place to stay. And then I'm going to get my girls, right? And so, but at this point, he was trying to keep them away from her. So it's so many factors, y'all just don't know. It's so many factors that go into these situations. But again, it could affect the person's caregiving, right? Feeling like you're not a good enough dad, feeling like you're not a good enough mom, you're not doing anything right with the kids, right? And then ultimately not being able to cope with diversity. When things go wrong, you don't really know what to do. You're kind of like not in control of your life anymore, because someone is dictating what you do, when you do it, where you do it, why you're doing it, how you're doing it. They're kind of molding you into what they want you to be, right? In a negative way. And so how can someone who's in a domestic violence situation or have experienced it, how can they start to be well, right? So I think the first thing is that there has to be some type of boundary with yourself. So going back to um Sweetie Pie's situation with Tim Norman, right? When he met Janae said she asked him, there was like three things she would ask a guy when she met them, right? One of them was, do you have any felonies? Now, because I guess her thing was, if you got felonies, I ain't messing with you. But she asked him this and he said, yeah, but she kept talking to him. Why did you go against what your boundary is with yourself? Right? This is something that you set up for yourself. This is your criteria per se. And no one says that oh, you gotta have this, and this, right? But that's a major thing. And then felony for what? I mean, everybody deserves second chances, but now look at the situation. You see what I'm saying? So if you would have followed your first mind and said, oh, you cool, but you ain't that cool, or let's be friends, let's see where this could go, like let's be friends first and then make your decision, right? So, keeping your personal boundaries, trusting your intuition. When something doesn't seem right, it ain't right. Point blank, period. If something don't seem right, it ain't right. Right? Making sure that you know what your strengths are and really having a support system around you to remind you of that, right? You're stronger than this. You've gotten through a whole bunch of stuff. You can get through this too. you know the situation that you're in is not where you should be. What can with your support system, what can they do to help you, and letting them know what they can do, right? um and then again, looking for those warning signs of the way someone speaks to you, right? And again, this goes with your intuition, knowing that something is not right, or early in the relationship, questioning things or seeing, because it's often like that honeymoon period, like everything's good. Like I told you, I walked into them people's house and this man was hella nice. And I'm like, he did what? Right? But knowing or seeing how they treat other people. What happens when they get upset? What happens when they disagree with someone? How do they react? Paying attention to their reactions will tell you a lot of things. Or just simply sitting down asking these questions like, have you ever had to deal with something that was like totally unacceptable to you, or something that didn't turn out the way that you expected. Like, how did you respond? You'll get a lot of information, but people don't ask these questions. You got to start asking these questions. You got to. Now, I didn't find really any information about how they met or how long they really been together. Because I mean, he only 24. I'm not really sure how old his wife is, but I think those are some of the things that will allow a person to kind of stay well after experiencing something like that and continuing to have the safety plan in place as well as that support system will be able to kind of get you through that. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this live. I have to get out of here. I hope this information was helpful for you. If you found value, please hit the like button on the replay. If you have any questions, please leave comments and questions on the replay. And if you need to get in contact with me for a consultation, all the information will be in the description box below. Until the next time, I hope you all have a wonderful day. And thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you all. Have a good one. Bye.